to this reunion of the 64 group of St. John.
1964.
It will be great pleasure for me to give a toast to everyone for health,
Yes.
peace, and more gathering to come.
For friendship, huh?
Well done.
Cheers. And long life.
I'm Jimmy Chin. Chin, you take the full name. I'm formerly from St. John's in class Form 5-5.
Jimmy Chin.
Brother Joseph was the principal, and we have, I think, one of the first school to have a golf club. And happy to say I'm one of the members too.
Was St. John's the best school in the country?
Of course. Of course. I think we have been one of the top school in the whole of Malaysia those days. And our only rival is Victoria Institution. Dover, right? MBS.
Edmund's the name, Form 5-5, 64 also, same class. And essentially, I made it to the uni by the skin of my teeth, and therefore graduated as an engineer. Worked with Felda. That's a bad name today, of course, as you know. But during my time, it was great. And my introduction to tennis was through my Sifu here, Peter. Well, guys, nice to see you all again. And before the night is out, hopefully we will get to know each other a little bit better.
I'm Tang Sam Chi. I'm in 5-1, 64. After which 2 years I joined Telecoms. Served 33 years there, hardly doing anything. And I now retired 15 years. In 1993, I joined the Toastmasters Club, the Telecom Toastmasters Club. I think I started off with stammering and stuttering, as you know. I think, but Toastmasters done a lot to me. I recovered my stuttering and stuttering.
So you're an accomplished orator now.
Not to say accomplished orator. I could speak with a bit of thinking and control the speed. I was able not to stammer.
Okay, so
IT.
you're
Time's up.
accomplished orator, so we can't let you talk the whole night.
Well, this is the third time I'm saying it. My name is Bartholomew. So all of you remember it now, right? Call me Bart for short. Was in Form 5-5, the science class. After O level, went to Sydney to do chemical engineering. After that, I came back and started work in Singapore and have not been back to Malaysia to work or to live. So planted roots in Singapore, met my lovely wife. By the way, she decided to join us because she wanted to see what Malaysian boys are like. She's a Singaporean. Started work with Exxon in Singapore. Later on, I joined an industry in building chemicals that I've been involved in for almost 30 years now. So I was first working for an American company. They sent me to the US for 5 years, had a stint there, came back, and the company was taken over by BASF. So I've been doing that since 97, and right now I'm at the point of almost retired. Basically, have sold most of my business away, so I have a bit more time for my wife. Would say not for her, but for her, for golf and for tennis. I still play tennis. I was just asking Peter whether he has been playing, because my most memorable days in St. John's were playing tennis together. We had a very active group of tennis players, and during school days I was living in Rawang. You know how far Rawang is? In those days it was 18 miles from St. John's, and it took an hour to get there by bus. So I used to come in the morning and stayed back after school, played tennis, and got home by 7. So life was good. I think I enjoyed school there. Caught up with Brother Joseph in Singapore when he's been there for quite a few years before he passed away. And overall, I think St. John's has given us quite a balanced education. What I think most of us miss has been keeping in touch with one another over the years, because I haven't seen all of you since leaving school in 1964. I've caught up with David over work matters, and I'll tell you the story. It's really very strange because I'll take another 2 minutes because I haven't seen David for years, and then we wanted to start a company in KL, and our lawyers recommended David's firm. My name was given to him, and after we met, he said he had been pondering over the name Bartholomew Fong because there's not that many Bartholomews around. And that's how we got back and caught up.
I'm Janet.
Tell us, was it a good experience to marry a Johannine?
That's a long story.
That's too loaded for tonight.
Well, we've had our ups and downs, but it's been good generally.
Earlier day I was known as Su Ao Wan. So now I have the name of Clement Su. I'm also in Form 5 and also 1964. My line is totally different. I'm an automotive line. I'm with the Mercedes-Benz. I'm still with them. I do a lot of sports. I'm an expert in karate. I was the Secretary General to the Malaysian Karate Federation. I do a lot of karate and I'm a karate master myself. And I was inducted to the Olympic Hall of Fame in 2014. So as an Olympian, I'm a Grandmaster.
Grandmaster.
I was a Secretary General to the Malaysian Karate Federation, and I also was a Refereeing Council Chairman of Asia and a Refereeing Council member of the World Karate Federation. So now I play a lot of golf. So I travel around to play golf in Japan, Hong Kong, and Singapore to pass time. Other than that, I like to meet everyone. Actually, I was very involved with most of them because of my scouting activities in St. John's in the early days. I was in the 7 KL.
I was 7.
Yeah, he was 7, he was 8.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on.
So we do a lot of camping together. This is why I mix around with them a lot.
My name is Donald Tay Kyung Hui, and I'm from 5-1. I was rather busy in school playing chess and competing with others, the other school representative, and also do a lot of swimming at that time. And we managed to beat Victoria Institution, but we lost to MBS in our chess. I think we were great at that time, as we witnessed also the banana kick football. You all remember that? And then after which I went off to New Zealand, migrated there for 10 years and to educate my children. And after graduating, I returned over here back in 1994. I've been meeting up with Edmund, good old friends, and he's happened to be my son's godfather. And that's it. We are pretty happy, enjoying touring the world with my wife. Been to the River Rhine, very interesting. Recommended for romantic cruise.
I'm Peter Wong, 1964, 5-1 also. To cut the whole story short, I would like to personally thank David for organizing this because, to meet up with old friends is something very close to me.
Correction, long time friend, please don't use the
Okay, sorry. Long time friend. Yeah. I make it a habit of mine every Sunday after Mass. I'll stay outside the church to see anybody I can recognize. And, I seem to be able to recognize some of them and I approach them. And there we click up. One of my very, very old friends. Any of you from Sentul, LaSalle Sentul? You know Manuel Manikam? I bumped into him the other day. And he is now in the Sisters of St. Paul.
I'm Danny Thaddeus. It's been 53 years when I last saw Patrick and John Nunes. 53 years. And those days in St. John's, we used to have a friendly rivalry with Form 5-5. And it's happy to know that it's still continuing. You see the art students all here. Anyway, I used to work with the New Straits Times. I spent 30 of my years there, after which I started my own company, which is now being run by my son. I've got 2 children, a daughter and son, and from them I've got 4 boys, 4 grandchildren. And that's life for me.
You guys will know me as Anthony David, but in my whole adult life, I'm known as David Das. Well, I haven't seen Patrick and John for a long time, but the rest of us, Sekti, Michael, of course Edmund, I've seen him in church and here sometimes, but through work, and we keep in touch. Peter, passionate Catholic, so the Catholics, we see each other in church. Danny, recent Catholic. I went to Singapore with Joseph Lu. So Joseph Lu and I went to Singapore. We did law in Singapore and came back and practiced here. Joe unfortunately died about 15 years ago. He was a brilliant student, did very well, and could have been a great lawyer, but unfortunately things didn't work out. I also married, 3 kids, 5 grandchildren. My kids are one's in the States and 2 are in the UK, so my wife and I are very much alone here.
I'm Patrick Lebroy. I was in the Form 5 group with Tony and Anthony and Danny, but I don't recognize any of you guys. And even Michael he was the last person I recognized when I met him. I didn't know who he was. Anyway, I finished the Form 5 and wasn't good enough to do the Form 6. So I had to do the Form 6 on my own. And I finished the Form 6 and then went to England and studied physiotherapy. And I've been a physiotherapist ever since. Wow. Yes. I worked in the National Health Service for 8 years. And after I finished, I left the National Health Service in England and I went to work in Saudi Arabia for 2 years. And then I, luckily or unluckily, met my wife and we married, not in Saudi Arabia, but in a place called Bahrain. And after we finished our contract in Saudi, we went back to Canada. And I've lived in Canada ever since 1983. Anyway, I'm still working like 2 days a week, and I have a daughter who I adopted from China, and her name is Chloe. That's it.
Dad?
Tony.
My full name is John Anthony Nunes, hence some call me Tony and others call me John. Gets a bit confusing at times, but it wasn't my fault. I left school in '64 and I decided to migrate to Australia, and I lived in Melbourne ever since. I still live there. Worked for the public service in the Customs and Excise Department, and we sort of audited a lot of importer companies of alcohol and cigarettes. We try to keep them honest. I lost touch with a lot of my school colleagues over the years, and I only kept in touch with Eugene Fernandez. He came to Australia to complete his novitiate, I think, and to become a priest. And it's only through him that I eventually got in touch 54 years later with Anthony David and Michael Leo. So it's been a long time coming, but I'm privileged to be here tonight to meet all the old friends, and it's good to see you all again.
Hello everybody, my name is Ronnie. In school I was known as Sekti, so my full name is Ronnie Ko Sekti. I'm in class 5-4, 1964. After that I went to the 6th form and then to the local university. I built my career in advertising. That's the only job I had until I retired. In St. John's, I was a bugler with the band. The one person that I remembered a lot was Napoleon, if you all do remember Napoleon. And Mr. Kok Kim, if you don't remember Kok Kim. Physical education. But other than that, we had a great time with Michael and David, doing all the pranks in school, pretending to collapse on the road. The one that I remember the most. And of course, Brother Celestine, who's a great English teacher. One of the most memorable teachers I ever had. I have 2 children, 2 girls. One of them is in the States, working in cancer research. And I have another one who works for Nestle in Malaysia. And that's it.
Last but not least, my name is Michael Leo. I was known as Michael Leo in school. I am one of those who started from Standard 1 right up to Form 6. So I recognize a few people who went through the whole school system with me. Apart from that, I finished school in 65 actually. I went to Form 6 Arts. I was in Form 5-4. And my parents decided to send me off to England, where I switched to science. So I did my A-levels, O-levels. I went to University of London and did electrical engineering under LLN scholarship at that time. I graduated, came back and worked for 30 years. Subsequently, I left and first worked for a public listed company, then left the company and started my own business doing engineering and construction, mainly on the high voltage power systems. I have stopped doing contracting and I'm now a consultant, since those who can't work normally go and consult. Well, my memories of St. John's, I think we were very mischievous, This is one problem I have to say. I enjoyed myself because of the mischievousness. I can't say most of the teachers appreciated me, not even Brother Celestine. And Napoleon, I only remember giving me the cane. Anyway, I hope we can sit down and have a further conversation on our memories. Okay, thank you.
Eugene Fernandez, he came to Australia to...
I left St. John's in 1966. I worked for 2 years, temporary teacher, and then I went and worked in the Treasury for 1 year. 69, January 10th, I went to the minor seminary in Geelong, it's not far from Canberra, and did Latin for 1 year. Then I went to Ballarat, did 3 years of studies, then went down to Singapore, then went to Bangalore for 2.5 years, came back to Malaysia and got ordained in 1977. 40 years I've been in the priesthood. Do I look holy? Oh, St. John's, my gosh. Many stories involved in, like for example, fighting behind St. John's institution with Justin Cheng. Yeah. The other one, there was a money-lender son in our class. And this guy stood up and I put a biro gently beneath him. And I said, when he sits down, I will move the biro further away. Unfortunately, I got into a trance. And the hand didn't move far enough and quick enough. And my friend just went through the biro. Oh, he just shouted at me. And
Eugene Fernandez, who is now a priest, he will cycle his way all the way from Old Town in PJ to my house, and we'll wait for Patrick. And then Patrick will come with his car, and then that's where we have transport, you see? And then we'll go to all the houses in dead of night where there are rambutan trees. And we'll use pillowcases, and jump over the fence, get the rambutans, fill it into this and bring it home. And that was the learning we were doing, or supposed to be.
Lawrence taught all of us how to play chess.
Yes. He taught Leonard, and Leonard also taught us.
And because of the little chess that he taught me, I taught my kids how to play chess.
I remember playing chess with him in class. He designed his exercise book and he used to draw all the pieces and he cut. So he'll pass me the exercise book, I make my move and then he'll get back to it.
We'll go to school early in the morning, and I'll see Patrick Boy in the basketball court. He's always early, and I'm wondering why. Hey, Danny, can you lend me your exercise book with the maths homework done? He goes to the bathroom and he's coffee.
We were sharing already with your father, I think. The naughty things and the good things, stuffing gunpowder into the priest pipe. We make ourselves. We have a special laboratory, which was a priest hideout. So we took a lot of things from there, and we make our own powder. Good thing it was wet. If it is dry, it would explode in his face.
There was this expat son called Gregory Lehe. He was a bit of a scientific nerd. So he taught me how to mix chemicals and get an explosion. So we were in the science lab and we got an explosion. Both of us were suspended for 1 week. If we do something wrong, the teacher tells us stand outside. The brother director, should he be passing by, you're out. He doesn't ask you what you did. Come to my room. And then there was this Mr. Napoleon. They give him the best of 3. Pop, pop, pop. You know the Well supermarket we talked about? We went through the fence during the break, thinking we can come back within half an hour. Some or other people had seen us going out. When we came back, this guy was standing there with the brother. Myself, John Lee, who else? I think Joseph Liu. Oh, Joseph Liu and one more. They all knew about it because the next day, all of us got public caning in the assembly. As an example to everybody not to sneak out of school during school hours.
It was the common school next to St. John's, and they have one year they have a beauty contest in 1963, and my wife was the beauty queen for that school, convent Buchanan.
There's also a guy called Leonard Woodville.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's the guy who drives me to parties. He knows got his bike. You own the bike?
Yeah, scooter. No. His father's lah.
So there were two significant dance events. The first was at Bukit Nanas. So it was a convent school, and the Form 4 of our school with the Form 4 of the girls' school. All the nuns were there to shake around and so on. But what happened was the convent invited the boys from the RMC as well. The girls were not interested in us.